Revelation 17, verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Shem Yahushua B'Shem Rakakwadash, that belongs to the apostles and elders of GMS. Peace, mercy, and grace to the household of faith. All right, Revelation 17, 16. The 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast represent EU. All right, they shall hate the whore. The whore represents Babylon, which is the U.S. In the news, EU imposes extra 25% tariffs on U.S. imports. We got a back and forward going on here between the beast and the whore. We just play a little bit. In the last 30 minutes, the European Union countries has approved the bloc's first countermeasures against President Trump's tariffs, joining China and Canada in pushing back. The European Union is set to impose extra duties, mostly of 25%, on a range of U.S. imports in response specifically to the U.S. metals tariffs. It's still assessing how to respond to the car and border levies and the broader levies that the countries face. Now, these new tariffs will take effect from the 15th of April. Let's hear now from David Hennig of the European Center for International Political Economy. He's been following developments closely in Brussels. David, what can you tell us about the countermeasures?
Well, these are measures, as you say, against the steel and aluminium tariffs. So this is going back a couple of tariffs ago. And these are measures actually as first part of it is reviving measures that were in place during Trump's first term. And then there are some extra measures to come in place, which are because the steel and aluminium tariffs go further this time round. The EU is still considering the actions it will take against the newer tariffs, those that came on automotive and the general tariff of 20%. There's a little bit of uncertainty here. Unlike, I think, in China, there's not a desire in Brussels to escalate this trade war beyond a certain point. There's worry about the potential damage to the EU's own economy from doing that.
But David, we are hearing President Donald Trump digging in, posting on social media just now.
All right, so I put in a search. Do wars begin from trade conflicts? An answer, according to the AI, says, yes, wars can and have begun from trade conflicts, though it's usually a combination of economic, political, and strategic interests that spark full-scale war, right? Trade disputes alone rarely cause wars, but they often fuel deeper tensions. Here are a few notable examples, right? So like we say, World War III is coming quickly, and it's pretty much already started. It isn't full, like I say, full scale yet. But these type of conflicts, these type of back and forwards lead to bigger conflicts, which is why the Lord said that there would be wars and rumors of wars. This is a part of the wars. Matthew 24 and 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right, so there's a lot of battle, there's a lot of back and forward. People have their own interests, their economic interests, their national interest. And the thing is, the Lord didn't create everyone to be kumbaya, to be all together, one people, one nation. So there's always been conflicts between people, between nations. So, these some examples. You look at World War I. It wasn't started solely by trade conflict. Economic rivalries between the great powers like Britain's and Germany's competition for global markets and colonies contributed to the buildup of tension. World War II, economic sanctions and trade embargoes, especially those imposed on Japan by the U.S. and others, were a factor leading to Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor. Yeah, eventually someone's going to get attacked. Eventually something's going to happen. Something physical is going to happen. Right now it's just wars and rumors of wars. It's just rumors. It's talking, sanctions, tariffs. So while trade wars, conflicts alone may not always start wars, they often play a key role in the larger build-up to them. So, yeah, this is the larger build-up. This is the build-up part that we're in right now. And right now you got the EU, which is composed of multiple, 27 European nations. Some of them particularly I'm paying attention to is France and Germany. We know France is the oldest ally for the United States, but a few years ago you had that issue where France had a submarine deal with Australia, and the United States pretty much went behind France's back and gave him a better offer, and the Australia went ahead and made that deal with France, and France didn't like that. That was about 3 years ago. And then you got Germany, which is a EU nation, one of those horns, one of the original horns. Germany, you had the pipeline explosion, which I was just doing some research into it. They say it was a Ukrainian. I think they say it was a Ukrainian responsible for it, but the big, general consensus that most people were saying was that the United States is responsible for that. So, we'll see what happens with that. But that was kind of big. That happened a year or two ago, whatever. So I'm paying attention to those two particularly. But you got the rest of the horns. These all represent the horns upon the beast. So something else that caught my attention was the comments. Now this is BBC News, which is I think that's in Britain, which is in the Europe, which Britain had Brexit. So Europe, Britain is no longer a part of EU, but in the spirit, it still is. When you look at these comments, look at what everyone's saying. Everyone's pretty much has a finger pointed in the evil eye toward Babylon. Someone said most exercise. Well, I want to get that one. Let me get this one. I can now imagine a world where Americans are climbing the world to get to Mexico so that they can buy iPhones for cheap. Let's make it simple. Just kick out the U.S. from the WTO, World Trade Organization. Leave them to play with themselves. The world should teach the U.S. government under the Trump administration a lesson to show that the 200 plus countries on this planet cannot be intimidated or made to back down by one nation alone. You see, man, EU should not be negotiating at all after that comment about kissing his ass. All right. As a Chinese, I bought 3,000 euros of Loro Piano, which is made in Italy today to support the EU. So they support the EU, they choosing a side. So EU has the luxury of playing it cool. They can wind down U.S. military imports by 50p. So Chinese here, I support the EU. No comments about supporting the United States, because people are pretty much fed up with Babylon shit. The EU can't tariff American cars as nobody in the EU drives that junk. All right, Trump said they are running to kiss my ass. What a disgrace. You see, and that goes into the one whose look is more stout than his fellows. Because as a leader so is the people. What's the leadership of Babylon? Donald Trump, which I like the guy. Donald Trump is hella funny and hella charismatic to me. But he's pretty much a good representation of the stoutness of Babylon. This Daniel 7:19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast. The truth of the fourth beast. The fourth kingdom. The last kingdom of heathen rulership before we enter into the kingdom of heaven, which is going to take place on this earth. Which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron. All right, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron. That's why the United States, which fulfills this, the original fourth beast was Rome, but Rome fell and it came back via the Renaissance as Babylon the Great. Okay, and it has a mighty military. That's why it's referred to in the spirit in Jeremiah as the hammer of the earth. This is the mightiest military on earth. It says, and his nails of brass which devoured, break in pieces and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up. The 10 horns which are in the head of the fourth beast, which represent those different European vassals. It says, and of the other which came up, and that other one represents the same beast in Revelation 13:11, when John said, I beheld another beast come up out of the water, or out of the sea, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. That's the same beast right here, which is talking about Babylon the Great. It says, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, the 3 that fell were actual, going back to the beast, 3 beast nations fell. Spain, France, and Britain. Britain's not in the EU anymore. So, but those are the 3 that fell, because those are the 3 that were here colonizing, beginning with the Spanish, The Spanish were doing their thing, and then the French and the English heard about what was going on, and they came over here. And then the United States gained its independence from Britain, because the United States began as the 13 colonies. Right, so it says, before whom three fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things. And ironically, Donald Trump, he loves that word great. We're going to make America great again. He's a great guy. You know, he's always speaking about something being great. He's always, he has that, he embodies this spirit all day. Had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things. Yeah, he's a great guy. I know him. You know, we done a lot of business together. Great businessman, great family man. It said whose look was more stout than his fellows. Whose look was more stout. So, stout, which is Rob, which is great. Whose look was more great. Figurative power. Captain, chief, great. Chief, great, Lord, master. Yeah, and that's pretty much the spirit of Babylon. That is more great than everyone else. And that's why everyone on the comment board pretty much cussing this place out. The word fellows goes into associates, fellows, companions. Right, it's associates. It's more stout than its associates. And like I just mentioned, everyone is speaking against it because everyone hates pride. This is Sirach 10:7. It says, pride is hateful before the Most High and man, and by both doeth one commit iniquity. So even, people don't like pride. They don't like, when you get to showing off and boasting too much. You know what I'm saying? Which is interesting. But going back to these comments, thank you, EU. For a while, it looked like we in Canada were going to be the only ones standing up to this moronic bully. Well done, friends, as we say in Canada, elbows up. Now it's a whole world against U.S. U.S. ain't winning shit, see? So everyone is starting to become a spirit confederate against Babylon. It's being isolated. So, I just wanted to bring this out, man, because this is very telling of where we at right now. Everybody's sick of Babylon, like everyone. Finally, Europe growing a backbone. That's crazy. This war is getting interesting, see? This war. I doubt the intelligence of a country when they elect a person like Trump twice. This is just the first wave in response to the tariffs on steel and aluminum. There are more to come. Never back down to a bully. See, and I'm going to close here. Because, again, we just brought it out. But this is why Babylon is fulfilling these scriptures to the T. All right, I'm going to start at 21, point is at 23, Jeremiah 50:21. It says, go up against the land of Merathaim, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod, waste and utterly destroy after them, saith the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land. Battle is synonymous with war, right? And of great destruction. The Babylon the Great is going to be a great destruction. It says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Because all the nations are coming together, having an evil eye toward her. And the Most High ultimately is putting it in them to prevail, which they ain't going to ride off into the sunset. But, Babylon was created to be destroyed so that the name of the Most High can be magnified. Verse 24, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. The Lord have opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation, which are going to be the missiles. For this is the work of the Lord God of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Yep, and then when you keep going on down, it's going into the missiles. I'm going to jump down to verse 28. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon to declare in Zion the vengeance of Yahweh. And you're going to have the elect that escape out of this place. They're going to be called up out via the chariots. Right? It says, declare in Zion the vengeance of Yahweh our God, the vengeance of his temple of the elect. Israel in general, but the elect on the side. It says 29, call together the archers against Babylon. See, and this how you know it's talking about today, because what the hell account do we have of archers being called against, that Babylonian empire back during the time of Jeremiah with Nebuchadnezzar them? Like, all this didn't even happen with them. You had the Medes that came down and took them boys out while they was feasting and eating and having a jolly old time. And that was it. The kingdom was translated overnight, just that quick, in Daniel the 5th chapter. This is talking about today, where we at right now. It says, call together the archers against Babylon. All ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about. Because literally, Babylon the Great is sitting in the middle of the ocean, and camped about by waters. It's literally isolated. You got Russia to the west, and you got EU, the beast, and everything else to the east. It says, let none thereof escape, recompense her according to her work, according to all that she have done, do unto her. For she have been proud against Yahweh Shem Yahushai, against the Holy One of Israel. It says, do unto her double. Revelation 18:5. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. So the Most High is going to look back on slavery. It's going to look back on Jim Crow. It's going to look back on all the systematic racism and oppression, right? It's going to look back on all these things. The unjust justice system. It's going to look back on them implementing the mark of the beast, killing people who don't get it, all that shit, man. It says, reward her even as she rewarded unto you in double. And that's why it made me think of the scripture, because we just read about in that previous chapter. It says, double, and unto her double according to her works. And the cup which she have filled her double. And the main cup that her works included is blood, the blood of the saints, beginning with those Spanish conquistadors we talked about earlier that came here, beginning with the British, and their role, and the rest of them horns, their role in the slave trade, using Northern and Southern Kingdom to build this place up, cheap labor, free labor. It says, in the cup which she have filled to her double, how much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, which leads to the stoutness of the rulership here. Even on down to average Edomites, they because they live deliciously, they have more than they need. They've been able to thrive off this system, which systematically oppresses us. That's part of them living, deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. So the basic sentiment of the average U.S. citizen is that, destruction will never come here. Nothing bad can happen here. The military is too great. The resources are too abundant. And so that's why the Most High going to throw it down. So, I just want to bring that out. I pray that it was an edifying lesson, giving all glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. To the next time, Shalom.